Welcome back to Bourbon Real Talk. I'm your host, Scott Min. Today we are sitting down, continuing our Everyday Shelfer episode. Today we have what I would consider more on the high end of the Everyday Shelfer, but you can find it pretty much everywhere. The Kentucky Owl, and then we've got an Elijah Craig small batch, which is generally, around 9 or 10 years old?
Yeah, and this is basically a store pick. So, I mean, occasionally you'll see like Kroger, Liquor Barn, some of those other ones that come out with the store pick. So my understanding is this like a 10-year.
Gotcha.
10-year store pick, essentially. So,
and then the Kentucky Owl Confiscated, we read up on it, and it says that it's at least 4 years old, but it's very common for them to be 6 to 12 years old in the blend. Yeah. So it's going to have a good, nice mix of different things that, we got there. So
the Elijah Craig, I've been nosing it, has a really soft and gentle nose to it. Very, very interesting, enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, color-wise, I'm looking at them side by side, and I mean, even proof. I mean, you're looking at 94 proof versus 96 proof. Color-wise, they're almost
identical.
I was going to say pretty close.
Yeah, it's not a super dark bourbon, and I guess that's from them being watered down to 94 and 96 proof roughly. The nose is it is kind of delicate, but it's real earthy. It's got like some tobacco, a little bit of leather.
I wouldn't
like almost like grass.
I don't know that I'd call it earthy, but it's just soft.
Yeah, I definitely get more of the wood notes on that versus more of the earth tones.
Gotcha. I'm getting more earth.
Every time I hear earthy, I tell you, I'm thinking that damn Henry McKenna 10 bottle I had that had to have been bad, and it was just complete dirt.
So I'm gonna dive in and take a taste. If you all want to continue to talk about the nose a little bit, we can do that or go on from there.
So who makes Elijah Craig? Is that a Heaven Hill product?
Yes. It's a Heaven Hill, and then of course each store can come out their own, like Silver Dollar, like Liquor Barn, Total Wine. A lot of times you'll see Liquor Barn and Total Wine put out like the 10 to 12 years, and they'll sit on the shelf. I think it's $36 to $40. I could be a little on the high end, but it's around that 36 plus or minus. It's close enough.
I think it seems like to me it's a little cheaper than that, but you could be right. It's been a while since I bought a small batch Elijah Craig, just because it's just not typically it's not my cup of tea. This one's actually it's not bad, but I'm getting some of the pepper. I'm getting almost like it's got a heavy corn, almost like a baked cornbread.
Do you know mash bill on this thing? I am uneducated on Elijah Craig.
I'm not 100% certain. Does it say on there, Nick, or do you know off the top of your head what their mash bill is for this one?
I do not know, but our friend Google.
Well, that's what Josh is doing right now. He's already hot at work. I can see the little chubby fingers and thumbs moving.
Dude, why you got to go there?
It is what it is, man.
All right, well, we'll see.
I do like the nose on this.
It's got a unique nose. I don't know that I'm crazy about it, but it's something different. It's not something you get every day.
But for $30, I mean,
no, for $30, yeah, absolutely.
I always tell people, I go, this is a gem. So I've seen a lot of people, like when you go into some of these stores, and they'll pass it over, and they'll go straight for the high end stuff. I go, when you look at it, I mean, I think it's a solid pour, and I think it's unique enough. A barrel typically yields 200 plus or minus, depending on various things. I think it's a solid, I like taking it to like family functions and stuff like that. One, it doesn't get the family drunk as quick, like when you rock out some foolproof. And I think it packs enough flavor to make it enjoyable.
It's a 78, 10, 12, no wheat.
78, 10, 12. So it's got more barley than it's got rye.
Yeah. And that could be, that's why we're getting a little of that, I'm getting a little more of that sweeter note, but on the back end, maybe that's why you get some of those earth tones. Like I can kind of taste it now on the back of the palate, some more of that earth tone.
Yeah, it's almost like a floral-y, like earth tone, like, I don't know. I think we talked about it once before, almost like a honeysuckle. It's got some sweetness to it, but it's definitely more of that floral-y, like earthy.
Is all up front. It's all at the front tip of that tongue.
Yeah, it doesn't have a long finish on it, but
no, it's super small, super smooth on the finish. It's not a whole lot there to it.
But it's a tongue punch.
So do you believe in the old adage that, Elijah Craig invented bourbon, or are you of the thought process that it's just it was a happened chance by with the old drunk Irish dude sending down fish barrels and they send them back.
I thought that was Evan Williams.
No, there was like it's something about Irish guys that when they brought them to Bourbon County, Kentucky or something, and like they were sending whiskey down in charred oak barrels, but they had to char the fish smell out of it because the fish had came back from New Orleans in like a brine or something like that. That's the rumor I'd heard. Like it was some kind of wives' tale.
I thought that was Evan Williams, but it's been a long time since I've sat through some of those.
Yeah, I don't know names. I just know like port wine. Like when they would ship it over, they'd bring it over and put it in like port barrels. And
I remember going through, and it's probably 3 years ago at this point, the Evan Williams experience downtown, and they were talking about their spot and how the river and how it, before the dam was there, how everything worked, and they were the first, they claimed, I think. I drank a lot that day.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad tour. It's I like hearing different stories when you go on Whiskey Row. It's definitely interesting to hear different takes.
So I added a little water to this the second time around, and it doesn't change the flavor a whole lot. I don't know that it would be needed in this situation. It just kind of bleh. Nothing crazy on either side there. But I don't know. Overall, good solid pour. Nothing wrong with it. Honestly, I don't know that if we talk about the other stuff we've had, I would probably still take Woodford or Bullet over this, but similar price point,
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with this at all.
I'd take it over Buffalo Trace.
Would you? You take this over the Buffalo Trace?
I would.
Okay.
It's got much more, and it's a little higher proof, not much, but it packs a little more flavor punch.
I don't know, man. Josh,
I don't know. I'm going to agree with him. I'm going to agree with him. I would take this over the Buffalo Trace. Now, going head to head with the Old Scout, I think the price point, it's basically a 2-for-1. That might factor into it a little bit, but definitely over Buffalo Trace for me. As far as like going almost like a level playing field, similar proof, similar price. I would rather this or like a pick over. Or an Elijah Craig pick over a Buffalo Trace.
I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I was more or less just playing devil's advocate that time.
Oh, you were being Toby?
I was. I just had to do it because you said it.
Hey, I hear you. So the Elijah Craig is a silver dollar pick. So
it is.
Sometimes I've found that Larry has picked some awesome barrels. So that's not a bad one at all.
Nope, not at all. So Kentucky Owl, what do you get on this one, man? You got a crazy nose on it. And this is actually made in Bardstown, so it could literally be Heaven Hill. It could be
Barton.
It could be Wilderness Trail. It could be lots of things, right?
Well, it could also. So Bardstown Bourbon Company also contract distills and stuff like that. So it technically could be. I mean,
absolutely. So it could be lots of different, bourbon companies, things like that.
I get a big old chaw of that big league pack in there.
Do you really? You get gum in this one? I'm not getting gum.
What are you getting? Juicy fruit?
No, I'm getting more of the pepper notes on this. No, I'm really sticking my nose down in there to grab at it.
This has more spice. This definitely has more spice than the Elijah Craig.
Yeah, I'm getting spice. Getting some like a little bit of oak and some leather in there. All right, what's it going to taste like?
This thing has nothing up front. I mean, it's like just plain Jane, and it's got a longer finish. Not a hot, not a burn, but it's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I actually think the finish is a little shorter compared. I mean, I know the Elijah Craig was nice and smooth, kind of dropped off a little bit, but I think this is, I mean, you get a little more of that spice and that pepper note, but I mean, it kind of just dissipates pretty quick. I mean, what is the price point of this?
About $100.
Total Wine, I think, showed for $140 to $160.
Oh, that much?
Well, when you bought that bottle, 3 years ago, it may have been $100.
It was like a year ago, 12, 18 months when I bought it. As you can tell, obviously I wasn't a huge fan of it. It's still pretty full, but
yeah, the price has gone up, as has everything.
So, but this is an everyday shelfer, so it's going to be on point with Kentucky Par that we tried, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I just struggle with calling it an everyday shelfer because when I'm thinking everyday shelfer, I'm thinking $15 to $40. That's an everyday shelfer to me.
But you can find this though. I mean,
so
that's the thing.
That's what this is about. When when we started talking about this, it was kind of like, hey, what is things that you can find, right? And what are the things that people are asking about? So people ask about Old Tub, people ask about Kentucky Par, people ask about Kentucky Owl, and it's because they're more expensive, and they just want to like, well, what does it taste like, But they can find them, right?
Well, I think it's more of when I go to the liquor store and I go to the shelf, and then all of a sudden you see the nice glass, casings and see like this, and they display very well. Do I invest that $100 for $120 for a Kentucky Par, $160 now for this?
$160. There's no way I pay that.
Or do I pass over that and I take if it's close, do I go up front to that, the main visual shelf and get the Elijah Craig, Buffalo Trace, or Old Scout picks for a third of the cost? That's what I consider a shelfer.
Yeah.
I consider a shelfer something I can go in and I can generally find it at like one of the 4 liquor stores that I frequent.
And I would agree with that. And I think what Josh is talking like mid to bottom shelf bourbon is what he's talking about as far as being an everyday shelfer. Which we can throw some other stuff in there, right? We could bring in some wild turkey. There's lots of other things you can find in that realm.
I commonly shop at Southern Indiana liquor stores, and what's on the shelf in Southern Indiana does not always equal the shelf in Louisville, Kentucky.
That is true. That is 100% true. We do not get quite as much of this. But I bet a dime to a dollar if you walked into the keg tomorrow, that's in there.
There's a Sellersburg liquor store. We probably wouldn't find that in, though.
No, probably not. You probably wouldn't find it in most of your, what I would call our dive locations, but any of our decent Southern Indiana liquor stores, I bet they would have that sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, I think we have it at most places here.
I mean, I saw it at Kroger
Louisville
the other day at Clarksville. So
Again, if I see it as like if I go into most stores around here, I could probably find this bottle. Now, it might take 2 stores, 3 stores, but I could probably find this bottle with ease.
Now, a couple drops of water does change this one. It opens it up a little bit, gives you I almost want to say a caramel flavor to it to some.
It opens the nose up quite a bit too.
This one needs some water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs a little bit of water in it, opens it up, changes it, makes it better. 96.4 proof. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would weigh in. It's not bad, but for the $150 range, much like the Kentucky Par, I'd be like, give me 3 of these Elijah Craigs and let me go to town.
Yep.
Or actually, give me 2 of those Old Scouts and let me go to town.
Yep. No, absolutely. 100% agree with you.
All right, so what's your pick here between the Elijah Craig and the confiscated owl?
No bias with price, so I'm taking kind of the price out of it. If I had to go taste, I kind of like the Elijah Craig. I like the subtleties with the kind of that sweetness, kind of with the wood notes, and then if I add price into it, I definitely would go Elijah Craig. So, but if you like a little more spice, I think the no price again. If you like a little more spice, I think the Kentucky Owl would be a little better. But I like a little more of that sweetness, a little more of the wood oak. So I gravitate more towards Elijah Craig.
And you, Scott?
So I think if I'm going to do it that route, price point not affected, I would probably go with Kentucky Owl. Like if I could get that for $30, I would get it over the Elijah Craig. But I would definitely put it on a rock. I'd put it, I'd add some water or some ice to it. I prefer the Elijah Craig actually neat. But if, we're talking price point and adding it in, I mean, I think you go Elijah Craig, like you said, you could buy 2 or 3 of them, actually buy like 4 of them for the same price. So that's a lot of booze.
So the Kentucky Owl, the confiscated, gives you something to talk about, something a little different. Not everybody's going to have a point of discussion. I would, if we're going with a couple drops of water in it, I'm going to go for the Owl. If I'm going neat, I'm going to go for the Elijah Craig. Price, I don't know. That is a lot of money for it, but you get what you pay for some days. You see how the hangover is after you have half the bottle, and then you tell if it's good whiskey or not.
I mean, he does bring up a good point. It's one of those you don't see a lot of these. Like when you go to outings and stuff like that. Like I always like bringing a unique bottle like someone might not have or have had or whatever it is. So if that's the case, like then you have hours of conversation and you can, ramble on about where it's from and things like that. So at that point, you kind of got like this intrinsic factor of do you spend it, just so everyone can try it type of thing?
It's like I told you, I went to bourbon camp and killed a bottle of the Starlight VDN rye whiskey. It was something nobody else there had seen, had heard of, had tried. They were not a part of the bourbon groups, but friends that drink bourbon and rye whiskey. So we got together and we killed the bottle because it was just that good, but it was another topic of discussion for the day, talking about what is a VDN barrel and how long does it stay in there and things like that.
Yeah, so the intrinsic factors that go with it, though, the conversation, the hours long, and that's one of those you likely remember. So do you put a price point on that?
I mean, I do, but I like to hang out and talk about whiskey. The older you get, the less other stuff you want to talk about, and talking about this is fun, and it's a topic that's really popular right now, and it's an endless conversation because no two bottles are ever really the same.
No. I mean, each barrel is always different. I always like taking I know Larry and Susie pretty well, and they do a good job at the Silver Dollar and the Pearl. So I always like taking it and explaining, kind of like what they do for Louisville, something about it. So I always like bringing bottles that I can share a story with and educate people. So they taste it, they get the experience, and then they get that extra knowledge.
So, and refresh my memory. So, before we sign off on this episode, the Kentucky Owl is a rebranding because it was an old, original, established bourbon back in the late 1800s, early 1900s here locally, or was it not local? That's what I can't remember.
I don't know. I'll have to do some more research on that in order to get the facts straight.
And what was is this the Jim Rutledge one?
Rutledge is Blue Run.
Blue Run? Okay.
I think that's the new rebranding of...
I know Sherry and Mark Carter helped start Kentucky out, and then they got bought out by whoever their partner was at one time.
Yeah.
This one has a little signature on the back that I believe it says Dixon Deadman.
No, that's not the name of the guy that owns it.
I don't know, dude. It's just what it says.
Yeah, the name doesn't sound familiar. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
But this could be one of those, you have a lot of people that were on your phone, you're Googling, you can have, cordial debate and stuff like that, and you actually dig in and find some really cool stuff. I just don't know enough about Kentucky Owl, honestly.
So, conversation piece for sure. We're going to go with Kentucky Owl because it probably has definitely some more like, hey, where is it? What's it from? What's this look like?
You could probably Google this for a good 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
And have just a fun conversation around it.
Yeah.
So, there you go. So, according to the folks here at Bourbon Barrel Talk, we're going to say buy the Confiscated if you want to have a conversation piece.
Or if you find it for under $100.
And Elijah Craig, if you're just looking for something to drink, enjoy, pour, and you're going to find something that, you can't really go wrong with.
And as always, check out your local liquor store's single barrel pick and find out what your recurring store, what their kind of flavor profile is, because that's something different and interesting to talk about too. Whether you're in California, Florida, Montana, West Virginia, wherever.
Absolutely, 100%. So Bourbon Barrel Talk, if you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on YouTube. You can email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Make sure you ding the bell if you're listening on YouTube. I'm hoping to get Josh on some videos because I know he's super excited about that.
Nope.
And then I guess that's pretty much it, man. This is Scott, Nick, and Josh signing off. Peace out.